Brass bands. Historian musicologist Carl Koenig has come up with a way to help us appreciate the musical setting that gave birth to jazz. He encourages us to imagine life at the beginning of the 20th century. Consider, for instance, that there were no electronic devices. Trying to have fun on a night in New Orleans would be very different than it is now. You cannot listen to any radio or television programs, CDs or tapes. You could not call anyone on the telephone or visit movie theaters or video arcades. Candlelight would be needed for reading. However, you could go to the town square, which would be lit by gas lamps. There you could buy flavored ices from a vendor, exchange pleasantries with your neighbors, and take a walk in the moonlight. You could also listen and dance to the local band. In other words, there almost had to be live music. A town without a band was a very dull place to be. The social and fraternal organizations knew this, as did the newspapers and businesses. Therefore, sponsorship was provided for most of the local bands by churches, social and benevolent clubs, fraternal clubs, fire departments, townships, undertakers, and plantation owners. A band was present at almost every social activity, most of which took place outdoors. Picnics, sporting events, political speeches, or dramatic presentations at the town hall, and dances in the open-air pavilions. The band played before the event and for the dance that followed. Dancing was the main social activity of the 19th century. Large brass bands was used so that the music could be heard in outdoor settings. Note that in the narrowest sense, a brass band has only brass instruments, brass drum, cymbal, and snare drum. But the early Louisiana bands also included a clarinet and later a saxophone. When the social activity was held out indoors, a large band was not needed. There, the smaller string band was suitable. It was usually comprised of cornet, violin, guitar, bass, and piano, or some combination of those instruments. There had been bands in the New Orleans area long before the Civil War. Then, during the war, occupation by Union troops had exposed the city to many more. About 30 different regimental bands of the occupying forces were stationed in and around New Orleans. They were very conspicuous. They played for many military ceremonies and for concerts of patriotic and popular music. Their presence was an additional stimulus for the band tradition in New Orleans.